Well, hey there, seekers, querents, and other witchy and pagan types of YouTube. It's me, your boy Shane, and I'm back today with a video that's about how to maximize your tarot reading, or really any method of divination. If you are going to go to the trouble of asking someone for a reading, whether it's a good friend or someone that you're going to trade, some other kind of good or service for, or if you're paying for a reading, regardless, if you're going through the trouble of having your cards or your stones or whatever else read, you really want to get to the heart of the matter and get some good information out of that experience, right? So these are 5 tips on how you can really, leverage that reading to its fullest potential. My first tip, and it's obvious and it's cliche, but to keep an open mind. So if you are going for a reading, there's a good chance that you believe in divination to some extent. Whether you're just going for the experience, for the novelty of it, for the fun, whatever. Or if you are like a diehard fan of the method, or if you're setting a lot of spiritual stock in this, whatever your motivation is, try to keep an open mind, right? So if you're going to get some deep, serious life advice, keep an open mind and try to have fun too. And if you're going just for the frivolity of it, that's fine, but try to keep an open mind too, in case you do get some really useful information that, may improve and benefit you. So just keep an open mind. You never want to, obviously you never want to, condescend to the reader or make them feel like, you're just there to kill time, or, that you think it's a joke. Respect the time and the effort and the energy that they're putting into doing this reading for you. So just keep an open mind and just be open to whatever the result of that reading may be. My second tip would be to know what you want from the reading going in. And by that, I mean, people specialize in different things and people prefer to do different types of readings. But you should know going in if you would like a predictive reading, or if you would just like some kind of, advice or direction, some sort of like counsel, right? So there's a big difference stylistically in a reading if you want to ask things like, oh, does this person, return my interest? Or am I going to get this job? Or, is this going to happen in 6 months? Or, am I going to get pregnant this year? Or whatever. There's a big difference in that kind of reading, a predictive reading, than there is in a reading where you say things like, well, what do I need to know about this? How should I move forward if I don't get this job? Where can I find a partner who's going to be interested in me? Like, where's a good place to search for a romantic partner? If I go back to school, what should I consider studying? Which is honestly what I prefer to use the tarot for myself, but that's just me and my style as a reader, is for gaining that insight and not so much for, the prediction. Although plenty of people read that way and it's completely legitimate. But you should know which kind of reading you're kind of gunning for before you go in there. Similarly, a lot of readers prefer if you have specific questions. Like if you say, I want this whole reading to be about, money and career, or I want this reading to be about my relationships and my love life, or I want this reading to be about, my potential move to San Francisco or whatever. You can go in there and just be like, whatever, just give me an overview, give me a general reading, tell me what spirit wants me to know right now, or what the universe wants me to know right now. Totally legit. I've gotten those readings. I've given those readings. There are plenty of readers that will do that with no issue. But if that's what you want, you should go in knowing that as well. So that's tip number 2, is know what you want ahead of time. Tip number 3 is it's kind of related. This is a big one that my best friend taught me this. He espouses this. He has a tarot-related blog and YouTube channel that you should absolutely check out. And one of his big rules of thumb is, don't ask if you're not going to follow the advice. Don't get a tarot reading or don't get any other kind of reading and any other method of divination if you don't plan on following through. So if you go and get a reading, knowing full well that if you don't like what you hear, you're just going to plow ahead with your intended course of action anyway, don't get the reading. What was the point? You wasted your time, you wasted the reader's time. Like, what was even the point of going, right? And I absolutely see his point in that. So I've come around to kind of making that my own line of thinking as well. You know, that if you're just going to disregard the advice, then don't get the reading. So I guess that kind of, supports, right? Or that kind of like builds on the foundation of tips 1 and 2 is tip number 3, if you get a reading, follow the advice. Tip number 4 is don't keep getting readings or don't keep asking the same question over and over again in different ways, hoping to get a different answer. So if you didn't like the answer that you got, it'd be like that sometimes. Don't try to rephrase or reformulate the question and, keep digging and keep digging and keep digging to try to get at what you want to hear. It just doesn't work that way. I forget who told me this when I was young. I don't know if it was a parent or an aunt or a Sunday school teacher who said to me, God answers all prayers, but sometimes the answer is no. And it took me a long time to come around and appreciate that. It took me a long time to be thankful and grateful for all the times I did not receive the things that I thought that I wanted. So if you get bad news in a tarot reading, don't go get a second opinion, right? This is not the same as, getting medical advice, right? Don't go to another reader and hope you hear a different answer and then go to a third reader and a fourth reader and bug your friends and flip your own cards until you go through all 78, the entire deck, looking for the one that's going to, back up how you want it to go. That's just kind of silly and pointless. So if you really want to leverage your reading and get the best reading possible, just accept the answers you're given and don't ask multiple times. You got your answer. And tip number 5, the biggest, most important one, in my opinion, the soapbox that I will drag out and step on and get on multiple times again and again and again, is divination is not a party trick, okay? Divination, tarot's not a party trick. And what I mean by that is, it's magical, it's mystical, but also it's not. And if you really want the best reading possible, you have to supply your reader with some information, okay? It's not cool to be like, especially if they ask you a direct question, like, I see an older man who is difficult on you, who kind of hits you with like tough love. Do you know who that is in your life? Don't sit there and go, yeah, I know who it is, but I want to see if you can tell me who it is. Like, don't be a jerk, right? You wouldn't go to a doctor and say, yeah, I'm having pain, but I'm not going to tell you where because I want to see how good of a doctor you are. No, you wouldn't do that, right? You would supply your doctor with all the information necessary so that he could treat you and give you the best course of treatment. Supply your tarot reader with the information necessary so they can give you the best advice or counsel or reading, right? Based on that. Otherwise, again, you're wasting their time and yours. A lot of the card, there's more than 1 or 2 or 3 ways to interpret a card. And so much of interpreting the cards is contextual. So what that means is the cards are going to be interpreted not only by the surrounding cards and the layout, but based on like the topic and what the reading is about. There are love cards and relationship cards, but if you want a reading about money and finance, then those cards contextually are going to mean something slightly different. Maybe it means a vocation that you're passionate about, something that makes you feel, personally fulfilled or whatever. Like, I don't know. But it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't get you anywhere to sit there and clam up and keep your mouth shut and not supply your reader with the information that they need to do their job and give you the best reading possible. Just because you want to see if they're the real deal. Like, you want to see if they're legit and if they're actually psychic. Like, don't play games. It's not a party trick. If you are really invested in getting a good reading, I'm not saying sit there for 40 minutes and spill your guts and tell your life story, but you have to give them background, right? You have to say, you give them the Reader's Digest condensed version. Like, I want a reading about my love life because I was into this someone, but, they ghosted me and this, whatever. Like, give them a couple of details and then see what unfolds in the cards or the runes or the yarrow sticks or what have you, right? And similarly, right, if a reader asks you like, oh, I'm seeing this, this, and this, does that make any sense or is that resonating with you? They're not trying to trick you. They're, if they're legitimate, if they're a reputable reader, right? They're not trying to trick you into giving away more information or more details. They're just confirming that they're on the right path so that they can continue on with what they're seeing and their advice, okay? Because if what they're saying is not making any sense, relevant to your situation, then again, wasting both of your time continuing down that track. And I do make the distinction there of being a reputable reader because, of course, just like in any other industry, there are charlatans. There are people there who just want to take your money. There are people that are going to tell you, oh yeah, there's an ancient curse on you and I'm the only one that can remove it, but you have to bring me an orange, $100, and a pair of your panties by midnight tomorrow. That actually happened to a friend of mine, not going to name names, but that's what she was told. And I mean, that's ludicrous, right? So, if I'm going to go see a new reader, I get recommendation from friends. Just like I would ask a friend, like, hey man, do you have a dentist that do you dig your dentist? Like, do you like your OBGYN? Do you have a primary care doctor that you like? Do you know a good divorce lawyer? Like, just like I would get a referral or a recommendation from a trusted friend for any other kind of professional or service, chiropractor, acupuncturist, yoga teacher, whatever, the same should go for your reader, especially if you're going to shell out money for it. Just make sure you're talking to someone reputable. And then once you've established that this is an honest and reputable and professional reader, don't play these games with them where you either just badger them into giving you the answer that you want, or you don't give them any info because you want to see, like, if they can amaze and astound you with their arcane knowledge. Keep an open mind, ask for the type of reading that you want, and take the advice. So those are my 5 tips. Hopefully that has been helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, like, share, and subscribe, etc., etc., etc. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.